Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are super excited because this is our debut episode. So, welcome to Snack and Otome, where you're getting some nourishing insights from Nochi Studios. I'm your host, Natalie. I'm the founder and director of Nochi Studios. You may know us from our portfolio of games, including Untold Atlas, Somnium 11, and we're currently running a Kickstarter for a new game called Sweetcore Brews. But more importantly, I'm super excited that we have with us today Lovely Inc. They are an Otome gaming company that is women owned, and you might recognize them through their awesome tagline, Fall in Love Your Way. Or you might also recognize them from their published titles, Snow Kissed Romance or My Love for You is Evermore. They also run amazing Twitter and YouTube accounts to connect with fans, players, and just overall the Otome community. I'm going to hand it over to Kayla and Yana for your guys' introduction. So whoever wants to go first.
Hey guys, I'm Kayla. I do the marketing half of things with my bestie, Yana, over here.
Hi, I'm Yana, and I do the tech side of things. I'm doing the coding and all that, and then we do write together.
Yeah, that's the fun part, the concept and the writing. But yeah, we're super excited to be here. Thanks for having us, Natalie.
Yeah, super excited.
Awesome. Thanks again for joining. We're super excited because you guys are also in the mobile space, right? And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but going into console. And I don't think there's a lot of indies that make it into mobile, so this should be a good time. But just really quickly, some updates or housekeeping stuff for people who are watching. We will be taking questions throughout the stream. So feel free to chat in the stream. We'll be keeping an eye on those. And bear with me as this is our first episode. So there may be some technical glitches or I might not notice the comments or questions fast enough, but we'll try to get to all of them by the end of the podcast episode. But let's get started. So we had some pre-questions going into this, and the first one that we have, which is an easy one to get things started, we would love to know what are the current games you're playing right now and enjoying?
Do you want to go first, Yana?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the current games that I'm playing, one is Story of Seasons, Wonderful Life. I play everything Story Seasons, Harvest Moon. That's like my comfort, relax game. But I'm also playing Persona 3 on the Switch. And I want to say I'm technically replaying Variable Barricade because Kayla's playing it. So I want to refresh and talk about it. I'm like with the comments.
That's what I was going to say. I'm playing is Variable Barricade. I was just starting it again. I started it last year when it came out. I did a little bit of a let's play, and then I got onto Ichia's route, and I'm just going to play it on my own for that. And then we're planning on doing a podcast, breaking it down, because I really love that game. I just took a break because I was super into Story of Seasons and Persona and all that. But yeah, getting back into Otome again. What about you,
awesome.
Natalie?
Yeah, right now I feel like I've been playing a lot of Honkai Star Rail, so not Otome at all, but they still have the husbandos, with the storyline. They just had a new patch release, so I need to carve out some time this weekend. But yeah, I have also been checking out some of the Otome Jam stuff. One that I've really enjoyed is Intertwined. Highly recommend if you guys haven't checked it out. So yeah, I need to make more time because there's so many good Otome Jam titles out there, and I think there's a ton this time around, more than usual. So it's
this year is
a bit of time to check through it all.
Yeah, they have so many good ones. We were talking about this Butler one that we saw that the art was super gorgeous. We wanted to check out.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's another one that was because so our theme for the podcast is snacks and stuff. There was one where it's an Otome Isekai. I'm so sorry to the indie developer that I don't remember the title right now, but I love the concept. It was a villainous isekai and just wants to eat all day and just love the concept. So yeah,
that sounds so fun. I think I saw that too. Gosh, I don't remember the name either, but if you guys search Otome Jam, I'm sure you guys can find it.
Yeah, we'll post it later once we find it just to give them shout outs because they're really good. But awesome. So the next question that we have is we would love to know how Lovely Inc. came to be. So if you're willing to share your guys' story and just what inspired you to start your own game studio.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to go first.
I can start because it kind of started like before we connected. I'll go for that piece. And then once we connect, if you want to take it from there, Yana. But basically back in like 2017, I started getting into Otome. Was it? Yeah, I think I got into it around 2015, 2016. But in 2017, I think is when I started my channel. And I was really into voltage games. My first one was Dreamy Days in West Tokyo, which we've done a podcast on. Love that game to this day. It's really good, even replaying it now. But I wanted to do something similar, but I wanted it to be like winter themed. And that's where the idea for Snow-Kissed Romance got started. But I am a marketing girly. I am not a technical girly. And my best friend, Yana, here is technical. And she also got into voltage around the same time. I don't know if you want to tell from your perspective, like how that happened and then how we connected.
Yeah. So I was kind of playing around the same time. It was actually funny. So Kayla was at her apartment at the time, and like just give a background, Kayla and I have been best friends for 20 plus years, and basically lived on and off
Amazing.
together since we were kids.
Yeah.
So I came over one day and she's like, "Hey, I have to tell you about this thing," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I wanted to tell her the same thing about like Otome, and I was like,
I was so nervous to tell you.
I thought she's gonna think I was weird.
That's so cute.
And then she was like, I played this game. It's kind of like a visual novel, but it's this. And then I was like, I'm about to tell you the exact same thing. And there was this other kind of similar story-based thing episode, the app episode that had like the gems and stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, that had like where you could write, and I knew the coding side of it. So I was like, oh, I'll just write some like stories for free on there. And then Kayla approached me and she's like, what if we like revamp Snow-Kissed? Because you know more. I know the marketing side. Let's redo everything. And that's just kind of how it went. And then yeah, we just started in like June of 2019. In December of 2019, we re-released Snow-Kissed.
Yeah, we decided. Amazing. It was like my last semester of college. I went to college for Japanese, but we had like 6 months left, and we were able to use like ASU, Arizona State University, is the university near us. And so we would like go in there and work literally on Saturday morning. We'd get there as early as we could, and then we'd like shut it down in like the Union area, working on revamping it. And I remember when it came out, I got sick and I was graduating and our game was launching, and it was like so much stuff happening at once. But we learned a lot from that experience. And during that time, like one of those days, I remember Yana came to me with one of her concepts, because Snow-Kissed was kind of a concept that I came up with pre us making Lovely Ink. And she had her own concept that she was thinking about doing for episode, which was Evermore. And I was like, this sounds so cool. Like, we should totally do that one next. So we got to work on that right away in 2020, and we officially became a company. And then we released that in 2021. So yeah, that's kind of like the story so far.
I'm curious. So our team is sort of like that too, where in the beginning, like, so we're mostly University of Michigan graduates on the team, or like we have interns who are also current students, and we use the university space too, because there's just like so much nice couches, like whiteboarding stuff, right? But I'm curious to hear. Yeah, food, always super nice, and coffee, right? How did you guys like manage that during the pandemic? Like for us, you know, we had to transition from going in-person brainstorming work to, you know, doing it remotely. So curious how you guys were able to handle that, because it sounded like you launched Snow-Kissed right before the pandemic, and then you were doing Evermore development through the pandemic and launched it in 2021.
Yeah,
we
and
lived together. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We
had lived together before. Yeah, we lived together before, and then during the pandemic, or like kind of right before the pandemic again, we're like, we should talk about like living together again, mostly because we're just best friends. Like that was its own thing. And then we found a really awesome place that had an extra space that would be our office. The pandemic hit. It was like great. And then, so we just lived together, and then we both worked from home. It was altogether a huge navigation because we both work full time. So even during Snow-Kissed, we would work all day. I'd go to her house after I get off work or school, and I wouldn't get out of school till like 10. Off at 10, go to her place. We'd work till like 3:00 in the morning, go home, work at like 6, and we would just repeat it. So
at the time, I did not work from home. I don't remember. Did you work from home before the pandemic?
No, it was when
we went to the office, and we both have like office jobs, so it's like heels, pencil skirts. So it would get like 4 hours of sleep, and then I'd like be in there with like a triple shot of espresso, like with my heels.
Yeah,
just like anytime I could, like doing a little bit of writing on the side at work. or whatever. But yeah, the pandemic was crazy. Definitely changed things because we did kind of like that culture of being at the union, like you're saying, like coffee and food and like people buzzing around and couches and spaces and Wi-Fi. So it was definitely a transition. Like we got that place because it had a good like studio office space. And it worked out, but it was definitely an adjustment, like going from that more buzzy environment to something more like just calm. And we felt like it was kind of hard to get the momentum rolling when we were doing Evermore, I remember, but we eventually did.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you guys doing now then?
Um, we do remote. So I moved out of. So we both were from Arizona, but I moved to the San Francisco area a year
Okay.
ago. So everything was remote. I At the time when I first moved, we still had our place, so I flew home. I'd be home for 2 weeks at a time, or 3 weeks at a time, and then we just decided like how are we going to do this. So we'll be on the phone sometimes for like hours or on Google Meets, and we'll just break things down whenever we have to talk about is it the business, filming remote. We actually found that it's somewhat better to film remote. When we first started, it
Interesting.
was just us and poor iPhone quality sometimes
Mm-hmm.
and trying to match our volumes. And then once we did the remote, we're like, oh yeah, it sounds a lot better. Let's do it this way. So it's been some ups and downs, but it's been a lot, easier because we're just talk all the time.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
took like kind
yeah.
of a hiatus. Like with Evermore, it was like go, go, go. I remember like we had these ideas. She found this awesome system to build it in, and like all these things were happening. We got a bunch of voice actors, which we never thought we'd be able to do, like work with actual anime voice actors. It was like my dream to work with David Matranga because he plays Usui
Mm-hmm.
in Maid Sama, and like I just love him. So that was really fun. I remember we got Josie Jet after we had one of our friends voicing Hero, which is the lead of Evermore. And then we switched it out for Joe Zija that summer. I think it was July 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were working on Manager, which was our secret route. That's like been our most popular route. And we got Kaiji Tang, who's like was doing really well at the time because he voiced Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen. So it was like all this
Yeah.
momentum. And then in 2022, we were like, okay, we need to take a step back. Like, there's a lot of things happening in our personal lives. We dealt with like some family loss. I actually lost my job, and there was
Oh
like a
wow.
rough period for us, and we just like weren't able to. Our rent got raised by like $600. That was crazy, and so
Oh
that
my
like
gosh, that's a huge amount.
I know people were like, "Is that illegal?" And I'm like, "I don't
Yeah.
know," but we're like
Yeah.
stuck in this lease. And we were like, "What do we do?" So we kind of like problem solved. She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to San Francisco with my family." I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get a smaller apartment. We're gonna do this thing remote." And it's honestly been really good and refreshing for us to take that time off and come back. And now we're looking at Evermore again, specials for that, different things we want to do. And the main thing we've been working on is Snow Kissed and like how we want to
Mm-hmm.
revamp that because that's going to be majorly different.
Yeah, no, let's talk about that. So I heard about this because I watch your guys' YouTube channel and I love how transparent you guys are, like talk about your challenges and like even just now like sharing that because like the hustle is real, right? Like unless you're like investment back, like a lot of us do this indie devs, we do this on the side, we have other jobs, right? We moonlight, we do all this. But I was super excited to hear like during your guys' announcements talking about this that you're going for console for Snowkiss, which is different than what you had been doing before because you guys were doing mobile. So just would love to know like how are things going with that and yeah, why console?
It's been going well. We decided finally to take the time to say, like, what do we fully want in there? Because Kayla and I have so many ideas, but sometimes you get ideas and you're like, this sounds so much fun. And then in reality, you're like, yeah, we have to dial it back. But first, what we wanted to do was break down each character and say, like, what do we want in the game? Um, we decided to do console first because the pandemic really changed the market of the availability. But prior to that, again, we were all on the go. We were going to the office, we are doing all these things. Cozy games will always be cozy games, but I think that a lot of people wanted the mobile market because it was just like I'm on the train, I'm in the office, and I can stop. But the pandemic said basically we're all at home, and it really picked up, and we saw that. And I love console games. Kayla loves console games, so we are like, let's approach Snowkiss with that accessibility, and we wanted to add a lot more gaming elements to it, and that to me felt more like a console first approach, like all of the things that we love, because we love the games like Tokimeki or Angelique. All those have those small little gaming elements that we just find so entertaining. Anything
Yeah,
out of,
for
and
sure.
Tokimeki, my favorite is doing the chocolate thing, and I'm like, I just want to do that all
Oh
the
my
time.
gosh, it's the best. The chocolate, the Valentine's, like every single game. Like you
Yeah,
always know there's a Valentine's thing in every
yeah,
single girl side game, right? But it's like
yeah,
somehow really entertaining for each one.
yeah,
They get me
yeah.
every time.
So we
Yeah.
decided we wanted to really decide what we're going to have in the game and make a demo and go maybe Kickstarter so that we can get to the console, because it's just no easy feat. And we say this transparently a lot, but pretty much Kayla and I have poured all of our own resources into it. We haven't done much of like crowdfunding or anything like that. Everybody sees is 97% of it is Kayla and I. I do this one side, she does the other. We've hired a contractor to help me with some of the coding side. You know what I mean? We have obviously the artist, because I can't draw a stick figure to save my life, but everything else is just us 100%. It's sometimes funny too, because sometimes people will comment to us like we're a huge corporation or something, and I'm like, yeah, it's just the two of us. So I don't
We
Yeah,
get
know.
so
yeah.
many emails. Like, I don't know if you guys experience this too with your studio, but we get so many emails like, oh my God, like, I really want to work in the gaming industry. Like, are you guys looking for a marketing person? Are you guys looking for a writer? Are you guys looking for a developer? And I feel so bad because we're definitely not at that stage yet. I'm like,
Yeah.
girlie, we
Yeah.
haven't taken a paycheck yet, but
Totally. Yeah, no, we get the same questions. I think that's a testament though to like how professional things look, right? Is like when they were like, "Oh, this is like a voltage." And it's like, "Yo, no, we're indies. Like we're still struggling here. Minimum wage,
Yeah.
let's go." Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
that's
Yeah, I think
awesome.
everything
Oh,
Yana
sorry,
said
go
about
ahead.
console, I totally agree with. Like I feel like that's where the market's going. Mobile has really changed, and I also want to add, like, I feel like a lot of people's expectation for mobile right now is like a gotcha format, and we don't really agree
Hmm.
with that format so much. So, like, I feel like a lot of people are disappointed when they see that our game is like a demo, then you pay for a route when they have that expectation. Like, we've obviously
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
a good group of fans who love our games the way they are, but I just think that that market is going to be better for us with console.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you mentioned earlier, you started playing Voltage games, right? And like that's how you started your channel, and that's how I discovered you guys. And it's fascinating because like Voltage used to be like that. Like the business model back then was you pay for stories like one at a time. And now it's like you said, it's completely different. Now we have like Fortnite, all these other games. So it's always gotcha, loot boxes, all these things. It's just people are trained to that monetization model now for mobile, which is it's lucrative for like companies for sure. But yeah, to
Yeah, they
your
do
point, like it
well.
can be yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that it's console first. Does that mean you will also make this on mobile?
It's definitely something that we, in the beginning, wanted to try to do. I think where it's at now, like, we're still in the beginning stages of putting everything together, and Yana, you can add your thoughts. We feel like paring it down to mobile probably wouldn't be the move. Definitely, we want to put it on Steam because we want to be accessible. If someone
Mm.
doesn't have a Switch, most everyone has access to laptop computers. So that's kind of like where it's at. Do you have anything to add, Yana?
Yeah, no, you said it. I think because we want to have gaming elements, when we first talked about it, we were going to pare it down for mobile, just because all of those moving parts sometimes can be too much on the phone. And we were like, we'll just put it on here, but we don't want to upset fans who will go on and say, I got the route, but I want to do all of this other stuff. So it's not that it's never going to be a thing. We might decide to later down the line if the demand goes for it. But kind of just to reiterate on the gotcha thing, with gotcha, there's so much content available because it's the pictures and all of that stuff. And so sometimes I think for people, that's what they're expecting. They want images, 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 and stories. And I feel sometimes for indie developers, like they want to keep up with that, but it's just not realistic. It's not a fair sometimes thing to put on someone. Like, listen, we can only do so much. So you got
Yeah,
to do
Yeah,
that.
without
yeah,
like an investment backer or something, it's really hard to break into like that kind of market because it's constant content, new events coming out every month, and like that's a lot of art and voice actor work and just everything, coding work that would have to be done to accomplish that. But yeah, and you even notice, like you mentioned earlier, Voltage's model was successful for a long time on mobile. Now they're kind of like going down and they're switching over to console to make up the funds. So
Yep. Now they're on subscription, right? And then to your point, totally, everything is going on to Switch.
yeah.
But yeah, you make an interesting point because it is true. Like people don't think about the development side, right, for these gacha games. It's not only just that, but like you need a bigger team. It can't just be two ladies, right? Because if it's live service, if the server goes down in the middle of the night, like we're already not getting sleep. Like even more so, we're like never gonna get sleep at that point. Trying to run a live service like gacha game. But yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of challenges. And I think to your point, people probably don't know the things that go on behind it, and for indies it's really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
But I would love to go back and talk about Evermore a little bit. Have you guys ever thought of revamping Evermore also for console? I know it's a lot because like you guys are already working on Snowkiss, but like if you think that everything's moving over to console, I'm just curious, like what does Evermore look like in the future, or like what are you guys working on right now for Evermore?
Yeah, so we are revamping. So some of the things that we wrote, we're just making them a little bit tighter, and like Hero's getting a little bit of upgrade, adding some sprites to his because, you know, we just want to make the youthful hero look actually youthful. So I'll just be transparent about that. But we are going to actually add it to Steam. We're hoping maybe later this year, early next year, to have it on Steam. And we want all of our titles to be on the Switch, so eventually that'll be for all of them. So we're going to come out with more content. We have a special, the BL special for Daichi and Kyosuke coming out. Like we have so much stuff. We are like in full gear. We're just kind of resetting, you know, financially some things. And once we get there, it's like full steam ahead. We already have all of the ideas. Kayla and I talk about them like once every other day. Like, hey, came up with this idea. I don't know if you've seen our TikToks. Like Kayla will send me like ideas and say like, hey, I'm going to do this as a TikTok. Hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, I thought of this. I'm like, yeah, go for it. I trust you.
And it just makes us like want to do specials. Like we posted one today because she had sent me a funny one for that would work for President's personality. And it's like people want him to be added. He is the president of Diamond Records, which is Hero's record label. So we're always like thinking of things we want to add to it. I would say like as far as Evermore, we're both really proud of the way that it's come out, and we've already revamped it a lot. We always look back at our work and are like, try to improve it. Like this menu, for example, that's up right now, like this is like the third like version. When the game first came out, it did not look like this at all. It was not as good.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've really like upped the branding and everything on it. As far as like how we did the routes, previously she completely wrote Hiro and Daichi. I completely wrote Minoru and Kyosuke, and then we would just kind of like go through it together and make sure there's no errors and just post. We realized that we would prefer to work in tandem, and that's what happened with Manager. We completely wrote it together side by side the whole time. No piece was written by just one of us. And we feel like that's our best work yet. And I feel like the sales show for it, and he's a great character. So that's how we want to approach Snowkiss, is like everything, both of us together the whole way. And even the little things we want to do to Evermore, like tightening up some of the other original 4 routes. It's not going to be a massive change just because we're really proud of the way that this one is right now.
Yeah. So going back, you said the sales are showing that Manager is like popular. Is it, and you mentioned that it sounds like you feel like it's because you guys worked together and like became like a really awesome piece of work, right? Do you feel like there's also stereotypes with it? Because like, I'm not going to lie, like when I saw him, I was like, oh, yeah, that's a type for me. So I was just curious, like, do you feel like you see consistently between like the two games, or just like in marketing and on TikTok that people are leaning towards a certain thing because of the, you know, the image, the stereotypes, all that stuff?
I think it really has to do with the mask. And this is actually one of the funnier stories. So when she first approached me, so a lot of people don't know, the story when I wrote it was all about Hiro, and I branched out the other characters, but Hiro always was going to have, I don't know if you've ever watched Utano Pre or played parts of the games. They had like the obnoxious Manager Shining Otome character, and that's what Manager originally was supposed to be, just like this obnoxious, not nice, but whatever. So Kayla calls me. He wasn't going to have a mask either at first. So Kayla calls me one night. She's like, hey, I have an idea. Just like, hear me out. And I was like, okay, sure. And she says, what if we put him in a mask? And I was like, no, but you can go on. And so she was like, no.
I was like, please hear me out. Like, he's wearing a mask, but no one addresses it. And she was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, do you have any proof that this works? And like, here's where I got the idea is I was watching the anime Supersonico, and her
Yeah. Yeah.
manager, she's like a model in the show, and her manager has like this, it's a demon mask, I want to say like an Oni mask, and nobody, and like fire hair, and everyone else in the show is normal, and like nobody addresses the fact that he's a mask, and it just made me so interested in his character. There's a Supersonico game actually, which I kind of want to play now just because of that.
Oh,
But that like
interesting.
concept, I was like, imagine for like a dateable route, this would be like, everyone would be so intrigued, right? Like, so she reluctantly was like, I was like, please trust me on this. And she was like, okay, we can do it. Like, let's see how the response is. And if it's good, then we'll make it him a route. And the response was good to the mask. So yeah, I think to answer your question, like the mask is definitely like something that gets people interested. But I think it's like a combination of things. I think hiring the right voice actor was really important for us. And we think Kaiji Tang like really, really did a great job on it. He's amazing. He's so funny. And then another piece of it is like, I feel like it's really important that the sample chapters, like those first 3 chapters, are really, really solid. And we spent a lot of time like making sure that the right beats were hit in those chapters to make people want to purchase the full route. And I think that's something that makes it a top seller as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting you say that because like everything is about like the first impression, right? And so that really changes story writing nowadays. I feel like because like you got to get everything up in the front, and you can't, save the, climax for later. Like you got to get them interested. It's like it's interesting. Like you guys are on TikTok too, and I think you probably see this that when you market stuff, you really got to do the clickbaity, attention grabbing stuff. So I think that's fascinating that like you guys are thinking about this, like with the first 3 chapters even. I'm curious to know, do you guys see a lot of feedback that people play through the first 3 chapters so they're super interested? Like, how has that been?
Yeah, people will say like it's weird it differentiates on like Apple to Google. So the biggest comment we usually get is like, I wanted to play the story, I just don't want to pay the $4.99 that it costs. But never that it's like it got me hooked line in, or I love the comments too specifically because we did not really set this up at first, but Daichi and Kyosuke's chemistry. We get the comment all the time, like, yeah, they definitely are like they're each other's like soulmates, and we're like, yeah, I never noticed that's how we
The shipping. The
yeah,
shipping.
because Daichi's character archetype is like my archetype that I always go to, and Kyosuke is like Kayla's archetype all the time. So the way that we wrote them is like what we ideally would like in a route like this. Like I love tsundere, Kayla loves a good boss route. So like that I felt like showed in our writing. I never thought about how like they interact. And that's another thing we really worked that I am very, very proud of is the ensemble cast that we wrote between all of them that shows in our specials and everything. I love a good ensemble cast. If that's good, even if maybe the game or the writing or everything else isn't like fantastic, if an ensemble cast is good, you got me hook, line, and sinker. I'll play it all. Like that's what it is for me.
Yeah, that's something
For
that's super
sure.
important to us. Like, we feel like Voltage does such a good job with the ensemble casts. Like, they usually do, anyways. And with Dreamy Days specifically, they had a great ensemble cast. Where like, we cannot skip on that. It really comes out in like the specials. If people play the company retreat special, that's like one of our most popular specials. And I feel like it shows off that group vibe. So it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of ensemble casts, do you have players who play multiple routes then, or are people like, oh my gosh, I'm a diehard Daichi fan, like it's cheating if I go on the other routes, things like that?
We did have one fan specifically that was super diehard Daichi. Like when we would like post pictures of Daichi and Kyosuke, she would be like, "Stop! Like Daichi's my man. Kyosuke cannot have him." But usually, they play all of them. To be honest with you, a lot of people like they start with one and then they buy the rest. Or I think we have like a percentage of people who only have played manager so far.
Yeah. Again, it's that mask. That mask pool just draws people in. People are curious. Amazing. Really quickly, I'm going to do a quick shout out that if anyone has questions, again, please feel free to throw it in the comments. And yeah, we will make sure to keep an eye on that and answer questions. So you guys also run a podcast too. how do you guys manage all of your priorities with like YouTube channel, podcast, console, adding extras for Evermore? Like, how do you balance it all?
I feel like they sometimes intermix, like when we're talking about the podcast, and sometimes I feel like we are the unpopular opinion of podcasts. Like we always say things, I think very, very transparently. We're like, hey, I don't like this. I'm going to tell you why, a bunch of reasons why. But what actually started the podcast is we wanted to get our names out there. So we started the podcast in 2020, in January of 2020. And we also just like to talk about what we like to talk about. Me and Kayla I always call it our Jan and Kayla bubble. Like once we get started, it's impossible to get us to stop. So we're like, what if we just put mics in front of ourselves and just do that all the time? And that's kind of how it started. And sometimes it helps inspire to have concepts come up. So like recently we are been posting about star-crossed myth, and Kayla is very much knowledgeable about astrological signs, birth charts, all that stuff. And this game should have been about that. So we break that down in the videos, and we kind of were like, oh, if we did a game like this is what we would change and this is what we would build.
Yeah.
And it helps us say like, oh, what we want to do different. So it helps kind of culminate all together. It also helps us stay kind of integrated. Like when we're looking at India to make games, or when we're looking at other games, like, oh, this is things I like, things that I can see where they were going. I just probably wouldn't do it ourselves, or I never would have thought about that. So it kind of all helps all together, at least for me. I don't know about what you think, Kayla.
Yeah, I feel like when we started, it wasn't technically a podcast yet. It was just like our latte and foam YouTube channel and videos. It was like a second channel of mine that I used to do like random like Christmas gifts and stuff on, and I wasn't really using it
Oh,
anymore.
cute.
So we changed it into latte and foam, and like we had a lot of fun filming videos, and then we decided to do the podcast format because we were like, I feel like we just have so much to say, and it was a lot of work keeping up with the editing side of things, because I usually edit our videos, and when we would talk like so much and we were trying to be like on a certain topic, it would be harder to edit. And we were like, podcasts would be easier because we don't have to edit it down so much. So that's been what's happening. But I would also just say, like, we have so much fun doing what we do. And if we genuinely don't feel like we're having fun or we're not having a good day, we just don't do anything that day. And we're just okay with that, because it's impossible to be 100% on every single day. But if you're doing something you love, like they say, you never work a day in your life. So that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, and that's something we
Totally.
found. We had gotten to a point of burnout, and I always like to be honest about that too. There was just times of creative burnout, of just like we were on go mode the entire time, and it was kind of just would interfere with our moods or like our sleep. And like not with us, we don't fight really ever. So that was like one thing, but we would just be like, yeah, nah, I don't want to do that. So, and it would show. And so it's like, maybe we just shouldn't do this today.
Yeah, and I feel like we needed that like larger break that we took, even though like sometimes I like look back and I'm like, damn, if I would have just worked, we could have been to this point. But I'm like, no, I needed that break. I wouldn't be having the ideas that I have now. We wouldn't be having as much fun as we're having now, going through Snowkiss and making more podcasts and playing games and reviewing, if we had worked through that period,
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's for the long haul, right? It's like you can't get burnt out. This is such a creative field that you do need to take those risks. And I think it's really hard because in our culture, especially in the US, it's always go, go, go. You always hear about like entrepreneurs like hustling and just never sleeping, and it's been glamorized, right? So like kudos to you guys for like recognizing this and like getting inspiration back, having those podcast combos. I'm like hearing you guys talk about like the star-crossed myths and everything. I'm like, I feel like I haven't heard that episode, but if I did, I would be like, so are you guys gonna make that? Because that sounds better than what Voltage did. But no, that makes so much sense that like you guys do that as an inspiration. It's like great content too, and helps people understand the games and to learn about it.
Yeah, we absolutely do plan to do one like that. It's just like we want to probably do that after like we're into the console market, because we feel like it's going to
Yeah.
be huge. I mean, there's like 12 zodiac signs, so much research to go
Yeah.
into it. But yeah, we always talk about doing something like that.
It's a lot of work. Cool. So we are actually going to transition to like sort of our shtick that we've come up with for this. So we've got a little thing where we are going to do snack time. So with snack time, we've got some lightning round questions. And since it's Snack and Otome, the first question is, what is your favorite work snack? And I can get started first because I haven't really, this is our first one, so I haven't shared it out yet. So for me, this one's actually open because it's my last one right now, but I love Pocky. If people see, I actually like most of my usernames online, like my social media handles has the word Pocky in it. So if you see a social media handle out there, guys, that has the word Pocky in it, it might be me. But in particular, I really love the green tea flavor. It's a little bit harder to find. Like you can't really get it at Target. You have to go to like, the specialty stores and everything. But I was about to dig into it. So it's like open. But I was like, oh crap, I have to save this to like share on the podcast. So yeah, this is what I usually go to for my work snack is Pocky. But yeah, I'll pass it on to you guys.
I've never had Pocky, but it's like such a popular snack. I also love green tea flavor.
Yeah.
I need to freaking try that. It sounds so good.
Yes.
But
So
for
good.
my snack, I'm not like, we talked about this before, but I'm not much of a snacker. Like I'm like, get me like a full plate of spaghetti kind of a girl. But if I do snack, like I'll have like chocolates. I have like chocolates at my desk with coffee because it like kind
Amazing.
of cuts through the bitter coffee. But yeah, these are my favorites. They're the Ferrero Rocher. I like the dark chocolate ones.
Fancy
the
kind.
The coconut's good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll pass it to Jan.
Yeah, I have two. So I don't have any on me right now because I just finished my last pack, but I do sunflower seeds all the time. It helps me just like have like something to snack on. I don't know. And I also do these little balance breaks, the cheese and crackers.
Yes.
So
I just love them.
Yes.
They're so
Is
amazing.
it from Costco or?
Yes. From the double pack because the
Costco fan.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like part of the Costco cult here. So when I saw that, I was like, Costco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Cool. So that was our first lightning round questions, and the rest. So we'll just go through them one at a time. I'll just like shoot them out at you guys, and then you guys can just answer, call it out. So next one is, what do you typically wear for a day at work?
Since I work from home, I wear like my t-shirt, and depends on like if I think it'll be warmer for the day, I'll usually wear my pajama pants. If I have to hop on Zoom, I'll throw on like a blazer, and that's it. But I don't have to hop on Zoom that often, so I wear pretty much whatever I want.
Yeah,
Amazing.
same for me. I feel so blessed to have a work from home job now. I will never go back to the executive office life. I did not like it. So yeah, I usually wear a giant t-shirt and like shorts, and that's
What about
fine.
you?
What about you, Natalie?
Same. Pajamas. Sometimes, I just roll out of bed, just wear that during the day, and then eventually, if I have to go out, I'll change and, run errands. But work from home life is seriously the best, especially for like game dev, because it's like you don't need meetings all the time. It's like sometimes you just gotta sit down and crunch out the work, right? So yeah, having food on hand, like with a fridge just right there, perfect.
Yes.
Next is, what is your go-to lunch order? Since you guys are both like more meal people, so I would love to know.
My go-to meal order, it depends on the day, but I love salad from Sweet Greens. But if I can honestly have it, I'll have pozole. Oh, I love pozole. It's just in my genes. So
Amazing.
For me, I don't really have like a go-to. I'm like somebody who likes to have something different every single day. Like I just love having different things to eat. And I'm not really much of like a petite lunch or petite break. Like I like full dinner meals, like my favorite. I really love Indian food. I love Mexican food. We have bomb Mexican food in Arizona. Italian food, French food, like anything.
That's amazing. Yeah. Oh gosh. Also, just saw your chair. Amazing. The lovely ink logo on it. Is that like custom made? I just have to call that out.
Yeah, I got me and Jan these custom for Christmas, the year that we moved into our first place together.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Amazing. Next question is, what are 3 things you can't live without at work? And it could be anything from like favorite coffee to like you have to wear specific, well, if we're working from home, like specific socks, favorite stress ball, anything.
I can't live on my headphones because I like to just be able to quietly hear something. That's like 1. 2, I wear these slippers every day. I thought that I would hate them, and I love them. There's tiger print. My mom got me them, and I was like, these suck. And then I wear them every day. So,
Really does.
I think the third thing, I always have to have my Starbucks black coffee, like water bottle thing. That's like the what will motivate me to drink my water all day.
Yeah. For me, coffee. I have to have coffee of any kind. If I'm lucky and my husband's off work that day, he'll take me to Starbucks and I'll get a shaken espresso with an extra shot of espresso in it. But if I'm here, there's like a nice little automated coffee bar thing in the lobby of my apartment building, or I have like a Jura coffee machine if I just want some classic coffee. So that's number one. Number two is like just something to listen to. I cannot work in silence. I have to listen to a podcast or have a YouTube video on or something. And then number three, it's probably my mouse. She got me this mouse for a birthday or Christmas or something, and it's so comfortable and cute, and I love it.
Yes, love it. And the last question, if you had to date any one of your characters, who would it be?
That is such a tough one.
I feel like if I say manager, it's a cop out.
Me too.
I would honestly say if I had to date one of the characters, unsurprisingly, or surprisingly maybe, it would be Kyosuke.
Oh, I was going to say him too, but since you picked Kyosuke, I'm like, should I pick someone else? Dang, this is a really freaking hard one.
They're all so lovable. It's like your children, right?
I know. I'm going to say curveball Kachiro, because we just went through his in Snowkiss, and he's originally voiced by my husband, and his personality is kind of similar to his, so I'll say Kachiro.
That's a good answer. Awesome. Well, those are the lightning questions that we had, and we are pretty much at time. So thank you everyone for watching, and thank you ladies for joining us. It was a blast to hear your guys' thoughts and how things are going and just the industry. That was super insightful to hear like the behind the scenes of how you guys work. And then please everyone check out Lovely Ink's socials. So you can find them on Twitter at lovelyink_. You can also find them on YouTube for their podcast at Latte and Foam, or videos. And then you guys also have a podcast. And then you can also find them on Instagram at Lovely Incorporated. And again, they do have My Love for You is Evermore on the App Store. And please, please, please support their demo that they're making for Snow Kiss Romance. You can find the Ko-Fi at Lovely Ink _Otome. And any donations is like super appreciated to help make this demo happen. It sounds so amazing because I mean, I feel like so many people know Tokimeki, and like we always want more like Tokimeki like games. So please, if you guys want to support them, please check out their Ko-Fi. And then for Nochi, you can also find our socials. You'll find it in the description of the video and the podcast. We are also running a Kickstarter right now for Sweetcore Brews. We do have a demo out, so if you want to check that out, we would greatly appreciate that. But thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. It was a blast having you guys both on here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. We hope that you guys are also getting all your Kickstarter money in your endeavors. I saw the game. Me and Kayla were just talking about that earlier. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait till it's out and everything so we can play too.
Yeah, the AR feature is so cool. And like, good luck to you guys with this podcast and show. It's going to be awesome. It's so much fun getting to the YouTube space. So welcome,
welcome. Yes, it is a new journey for us. So we greatly appreciate it. But yes, thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone has a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.